We're going on another Lutterloh adventure today, this time making a simple pair of pull-on pants. The pattern that I'm sewing in this video is number 91 from supplement 307, winter 2017-2018. As indicated on the pattern sheet, this model is intended for stretch fabrics. You can choose from a wide variety of moderate stretch fabrics, such as Ponte, French terry, or in this case, I'm using a sweater knit. Before I sewed the pants for this video, I did whip up a quick shorts version, and I'll show you in this video how I chose different finishes for the waistband for a different aesthetic and a different fit. I do want to mention that for this video, I'm correcting a mistake that I made in my previous Lutterloh video. For the skirt that I made in that video, I used my bust measurement for the waist, which worked okay for me because my bust and my hip measurement are not that far apart. But it turns out that for Lutterloh patterns, the only time you use your bust for your waist measurement is for when you're sewing blouses and dresses. When you're sewing skirts, pants, or shorts, the only measurement that you need is your hip measurement. So we're doing it correctly in this video. I'm using my hip measurement for all of the dots on the pattern pieces. I hope you join me in sewing this simple pair of comfortable wide-legged pants. Let's get started.
Here are my Lutterloh supplies to draft my pattern. I make a quick copy of the pattern image for pants number 91 from my binder and cut out each piece so I have a front pant, back pant, and a waistband. Starting with the front pant, I'll tape it to a large sheet of paper and place my pin in the tape measure slot for my hip measurement of 88 centimeters. With a piece of cardboard behind the pattern to protect the surface I'm working on, I'll place the pin through the cross marking on the pattern. Now I can pivot my tape measure to align with each dot. Starting at the top, I'll place the tape measure alongside the dash which corresponds with each dot. Here it is 27.5, so I'll make a dot at the 27.5 on my tape measure. Pivoting to the next dot, I read 26, so I'll make another dot for this placement at the number 26. I'll continue for each and every dot until I have the complete front pant outline. Now I can use my rulers to connect the dots and replicate the tiny pattern now in my size. I'll also transfer any notes and markings such as the grain line and the pattern label. These identifiers are all included on a full list within the binder. For seam allowance, I'll be adding 1/4 of an inch for all of the main seams and 1 inch allowance for the hem. And I'll repeat the exact same process to create my back pant piece, noting all of the markings and adding allowance. The waistband consists of measurements we can transcribe to paper without dots. Here we have 80 centimeters by 6 centimeters, so I'll measure, mark, add seam allowance, label, and cut. I'm ready now to cut my fabric, cutting mirrored front and back pieces and 1 waistband piece. I'm ready to sew. Here is the right side of one of my front pant pieces. I'm going to place the corresponding back pant piece, right sides together with this piece. And I'm going to pin the side seam and the inseam. And I'll repeat to pin the remaining front and back pieces together. Now I'll sew the side seam and the inseam for both sets with the seam allowance that I added to the pattern, which is 1/4 of an inch. Now that those are sewn, I'll turn one pant leg right side out, and I'll place it inside the pant leg that's wrong side out. And then I'll pin together the crotch curve, making sure to match up the seam. Now I can sew the crotch curve with my seam allowance of 1/4 of an inch. So here are my pants right side out, and I'm ready to attach the waistband. And here is where we can customize the aesthetic and the fit of the waistband. Here is a sample of these pants that I made in a shorts version earlier. I made no changes to the length of the waistband, and I added elastic to the inside of the waistband casing to cinch it in. For this version, however, I'm choosing to shorten the length of the waistband so I can get more of a flat and smooth aesthetic. I'm going to cut the waistband to fit closer to the measurement of my waist. This deduction for the measurement of the length of the waistband will vary depending on the stretch factor of your knit fabric. For me, this knit has moderate stretch, and I'm going to cut it so that the length of the waistband is about 85% of the circumference of the top of the pant. Now I'm going to fold my waistband in half right sides together and sew this seam.
Now I'll fold my waistband in half horizontally, wrong sides together, and I'll mark the quarter points. And I'll also mark the quarter points along the top of the pant. Now I'll place the waistband on the top of the pant right sides together and pin matching the quarter points. And I'll place the seam of the waistband at the back of the pant. Sew through all thicknesses around those raw edges all the way around, leaving a gap of about 1 inch to insert the elastic. And since the length of the waistband is now smaller than the top of the pant, we're going to be stretching that waistband slightly to fit from point to point. Now I've cut a piece of 1 inch wide elastic, which is the width that matches the width of my waistband, and I've cut it to a length that fits comfortably around my waist, which is the same length that I cut my waistband piece. And I'm going to start lacing it through the hole that I left in my stitches. Now I can overlap the ends of my elastic, zigzag back and forth to secure. I'll pull the elastic entirely into the casing, and then I'll sew closed the gap in my stitching following the original stitching line. For the bottom of each pant leg, I'm going to press that bottom raw edge to the wrong side by the seam allowance that I added. For the hem, I added a 1 inch or 2.5 centimeter hem. Once those are pressed, I can sew close to this upper inside edge using my preferred stretch stitch. I'm just going to use a narrow zigzag stitch. Now that the pants are hemmed, the project is complete. Thank you for watching this sew along. So here are the finished pants. Without any modifications to the pattern, and again only using my hip measurement, I ended up with a pair of very comfortable pants and I'm happy with the fit. I hope you give it a try as well. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future sew-alongs, and I'll see you in the next video.